huge for them. If anything, it means when they play against Rascal Jester, most likely they'll actually have selection on the side, which could actually mean this match is more to play for than potentially their playoffs match, just because of how side selection can work for certain teams in certain matchups. Obviously, it's Crest Gaming X, so coin flips galore, so who really knows?
All of that. And I'll throw this one out here as well a little bit, in the sense that Hawks had a rough game versus DFM. Like, you saw Blank have to run all the way from top side blue jungle to try and save off a bot dive when he was at level 3 playing triage. They still lose that dive, kind of, even if Blank gets some responses. And that kind of felt like the way that game worked. Hawks had an idea to try and respond, but it always came at a way higher cost. And considering Hawks are looking to prove that they are not just the third best team in the region, that they can compete with DFM and Sengoku, who is still a fair number of games ahead of them, putting CGA to the sword would be a really good first step. And considering their last game of the season will be against Sengoku Gaming, of all people, a match that will be potentially very important for Sengoku and DFM as well, in terms of determining who gets first, depending, of course, on how DFM play today. They've still got a game to go, even if they are expected to win for obvious reasons. That game, and Hawks being on the kind of form that says we are going into playoffs to be a true contender, we are going out of the regular season with sort of the right kind of mindset and play style, is a really big thing that this team will be looking for.
Not only that, but it's going to really kind of just emphasize the fact that for the Hawks, they need to kind of make a defining statement, because this org has struggled since they joined the LJL. They did take that slot from USG previously, but that was previously Dasher's team, and honestly, Dasher is that kind of remaining player from that era when that team was USG and was one of the more scrappy top 3 teams, was constantly making moves and everything, and they've never regained that full flair for themselves, and this has been kind of a breakout split for them, and Dasher especially, because they're a player that we've been singing the praise of for so long. And when we had some new people come into the LJLOU, a lot of people were skeptical of Dasher because of recent performances. And it's kind of like, well, I hear you guys, but ultimately he's always on the losing team. So eventually you kind of go, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Like, at some point, who's the problem player? Well, it was never Dasher. And I think we can say with certainty, because this split just shows how strong he is as a player and just what he does for a team.
Absolutely, and this has been a real breath of fresh air for Dasher, who has been an almost great mid over the last couple of years, like an almost successful mid laner. Perhaps that's a better way of phrasing it, because even then he was putting up good numbers in teams that were struggling. And this time around, he's doing good numbers in a team that's doing pretty well, especially now this team has come together. It took them a little while. It took a little while to get Marble in particular integrated and playing the way the team needs him to, and teaching him how to play competitive at this kind of level. You know, you did start to see some of those aggressive trades in the mid lane from Dash. He was really feeling it, forces the early reset from both sides of this, trying to be as aggressive as they can. But Kasin on this Jin Zhao gets a hold of the Scuttle Crab, knows that the Blank will be recalling, and maybe can see what the Dasher is. Gankable right here. Does manage to get the win, becomes lightning, and forces out the passive.
It will be double Scuttle, as Nap is already taking this topside Scuttle as well. So, I mean, hey, everything's going pretty good for CJ at the moment. And you can tell kind of where the game direction and speed is probably going. It's going to be a lot of focus onto the mid lane. The only reason I say that is because this moment in time, we've got double pots in mid. Pots like that kind of incentivize people to do active trades, to get involved more often. You're going to be healing up more regularly. You're going to have your mana more. You've both got TP. Well, one of us has TP for Dasher. Something I would like to briefly mention is obviously Spellbook Talia. Not something that's completely out of the realm, but it's far more for the utility aspect, because bless Cocoon, he knows he's against Dasher, who is going to skill check him. So maybe instead of going, I'm going to go for the electrocute myself and see if I can maybe try and get a kill, maybe try something else. No, go Spellbook, be safe. It's not unheard of until it is. And if anything, it means he just can kind of do a bit more for his team and assist the team in general while still being that threat for them. So I like the idea and direction. But the reason I also say that is we've got double Cull in the bot lane, and it's Nara and Ekton in top lane. So there's no reason for our junglers to go near top, because it's Nara and Ekton, and that's why bother. Yeah, that's my take, Initialize. What do you think?
That take feels pretty true. Let's be real. Like, and again, this is also
the LJL.
I mean, it's also like this is CGA who need Hybrid and Nemo to get going, and the Hawks go mid jungle, win. Now we take that bot lane and try and win there instead. Like, both of these teams put a lot of attention towards the bot lane as Hybrid has been chunked out here pretty early on, has gone with the cold stop, but has no pots, and Blank is here, and Flash and Wallbang's available. They need to be a little aware. Nemo, kind of like this might be an option. Do we see the aggressive trade in? No, we don't, but that has now left the cow out to dry here. I wonder how they want their steaks, Lexi. Medium rare?
Oh my god, don't do that.
He's face-checked it! He's going to take so much damage. Flash, slam into the wall, Crab Rave. The steak is gone. It's surf and turf in the bot lane.
God, Blank is such a good League of Legends player. He was so patient, you could tell, but also for Reiner as well for that, because they didn't throw the Yuumi Q out early. That's very common for a lot of lower level, even amateur Yuumi players I see in Academy and stuff sometimes. There was just a lot of patience, communication important, but the flash into the wall, waiting for everything, poetry, emotion. If you're a Hawks fan, which I am a long time one of, oh no!
Okay, secured. That boomerang got very close to causing some conniptions. Didn't quite.
If you're in
happen.
the wrong mental state in solo queue, that's when you just GG go next. Like it's one of those ones where you're just like, buddy, maybe you should get off the game for a few hours. But thankfully, secured for Kassin. Jungler keeps their Scuttle Crab, and that just means everybody just keeps going back to farming and everything. Now, obviously, his support died, but Hybrid is still the threat of their team more than anything else. And that's going to be the player we're going to always have to bring it back to, I feel, Initialize, because it's like, when CGA win, it's because of Hybrid. He is their MVP, he is their best player, and he's probably one of the better AD carries of the LJL, even though our AD carry pool is kind of stacked.
Very stacked. And even AD carries that weren't as good in spring, like, Marble, who was struggling, has now got a pentakill, has now been putting up insane numbers. His Civic, his Tristana have been really, really formidable. And
Doesn't he have the highest DPM? Like,
I don't think he does. Well? I believe, I'll double check for you. I'm pretty sure bot laner with
the highest... that's Dodge. Give us that stat.
I've got it for you. It's Vital.
Okay. Well,
so Vital is up at 741 average DPM, which is pretty nuts. Just behind him is Utapon, but Utapon doesn't get to do quite as much damage because his team just sort of murders every lane, so he doesn't need to do as much. But yeah, it's Hybrid is third though, just behind at 646. So still right up there with the big boys in the AD carry pool. Let me go find a way of phrasing that properly. Sol's just behind that, and then it gets 600. So like they're the kind of guys who are at that 600 plus mark who've been doing pretty insane numbers for the LJL, and see whether they continue to do it. Marble, a little bit lower down, but has been steadily improving those numbers. He's a little bit haunted by the earlier games that have kind of drag his numbers down a little.
That's fine by me, honestly speaking. Hybrid is still an insane player, and honestly, I mean, half the reason why those stats probably aren't anywhere near as impressive is because so much pressure is put on Hybrid to output that damage so consistently, and when you're not always on a winning team, or maybe not when all of your lanes are just default winning. I mean, we've seen a change in this mid lane, not something we've really mentioned. Obviously, Cocoon has come in, but he's obviously like sort of filling in for Kaito, who just hasn't really been finding their footing in the league, sadly. And hey, that just sometimes happens. Sometimes you come in, it looks okay. Sometimes it doesn't come in. Maybe we need to have a bit more practice and something. The other team to obviously note is obviously these teams are amateur teams. They're coming up through the ranks at the moment. This might be a spot where CJ were just like, hey, Cocoon is just playing insane in Academy. He's maybe the best mid in Academy, so why don't we just bring him in here, give him this experience and opportunity? He's not going to play a majority of games, so he won't technically debut for Rookie of the Split, which is an important note, because that is something that we are thinking about. But Dasher, just, God, how would you feel if you're a rookie playing against all of this, if you were initialized there?
It would be pretty rough, and like there was a nice little trick there as well, where you used the clone to block out the threaded volley. Forces the reset, but of course, actually, some good trading back there from Cocoon is giving as good as he gets right now, which is exactly what you want to be seeing if you're in this matchup. Of course, Atelier does have some ways to play around the LeBlanc trying to dash around, because the Unraveled Earth is a bad thing to dash over. Don't do it, people. And, we're left with a game that is relatively stable, even if it is Hawks advantaged right now, and feels pretty okay for both teams as long as Hybrid continues to be able to get access to the wave and isn't dived out of the game, which has been a Hawks specialty over recent weeks and months. See if they continue to do it. About 8 CS of cashing in the cult, which would likely even up the game roughly again as well.
But something I want to bring up was something I brought up in our last game, and one of these supports has actually done it. It didn't actually amount to anything, but they did it. Reiner on a Yuumi roamed. Nemo on an Alistair hasn't roamed. And it's one of those things we saw from the previous game that the Alistair didn't roam and then suddenly mid lane had no priority. Well, look at what's happening here.
Needs to be afraid. Chilling Smite comes out. The seismic shove gets him away, though. And that was a nice little attempt by the Hawks, who trying to use the pick potential and playmaking potential of this LeBlanc and Poppy to maximum effect. And now they need to be afraid. Flash for the chain. Seismic shove's just wide. Blank will flash. We'll get the kill. And this duo from the Hawks is just so good.
Hey, so you know how we kept bigging up Hybrid? What about if you just ignore Hybrid and just get fed through everything else happening? Kanatsu also just getting a turret plate just cause, and then just jumping away after smacking Nap. And remember, Mega Gnar, when you take damage, it doesn't matter because Mini Gnar gets to take all of that health that you gained in Mega and just chill with it. He gets it back. So it's honestly one of those things that sometimes you look at it and go, actually, it's better for me to maybe take one turret shot because I'm gaining over 2 ruby crystals worth of health.
Yeah,
use
I'm just that HP as a resource.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just sometimes a weird way of healing. That's how one of my old friends who I used to play a bit of solo queue with, that's how he treated Mega Gnar. He was like, it's free health. I'm like, that's not how that works, but it technically was as we're coming back in and nationalize. These teams are actually vicious to one another now.
There's a Herald summon down here as well, which was come down by CGA, but how much damage is going to come out? The ricochets go flying. No one's quite died as yet. Knocked up, trying to knock Dasher back, but he's got a Yuumi, and that secures a kill, but over comes Cocoon to try and make that a 1-for-1 right now. And the turnaround from CGA is starting to come through. Hybrid, as you say, is doing full auto damage. Metal Gear Solid, the full metal jackets are on to boot, and that rifle pops right off. Marble will survive, but what cost? 3 members die from the Hawks.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Moly. Whoa, that was a really good one, wasn't it, there, Initialize? Hybrid absolutely getting to pop off here. But honestly, the bigger credit has to be given over to Kasin and Nemo for how this play actually just doesn't go awfully for them. Other thing of note, obviously, the teleport coming in from the name is Cocoon, obviously is really important here, but Hybrid just comes through and is absolutely untouched. The only player is Marble who's able to get onto him, but then look at where he's just at for the longest amount of time. Cocoon comes in and then immediately all of the Hawks members just go, panic. We didn't have the number advantage that we thought, and Hybrid was able to basically get away this whole time. Dasher, I feel like if you injected yourself onto Hybrid at the very start and not onto Kasin, that dive could have gone differently, but ultimately, CJ just played that really well.
I want to give some credit over as well because Nemo headbutted Dasher away from getting onto Hybrid. And he tries to get the kill onto Kasin, who gets mid-distort the 3 Talon Strike auto to knock up LeBlanc during the attempted kill. So Dasher was literally inducted into the bounce house that whole series of plays, and there's a little bit of luck, a little bit of good play from the side of CGA to ensure that LeBlanc couldn't murder absolutely everybody, but they burnt quite a lot to make it happen. And it feels like the Hawks are just a bit angry about how that went. Cassin has got himself a Crescent Guard, means there's not as much damage coming through. Now the bounce house begins again. Blank chunked out. Blank going down. Blank is dead. Cassin survives alongside Nemo, but not for long. Marble flashing away, but Hybrid over the wall, trying to heal up with Reiner, who will get the big heal with the bop and the block, and Dasher coming over. Hybrid needs to be afraid, doing his best to continue throwing out those burst fire auto. Spark Surge gets it. Tower shot is there, and CGA will protect their AD carry. Kanatsu has teleported in, but I don't think there's anything to good do. The lightning crash is still running. Gets the Mega Gnar into the wall. That is the cow. Flattened for dinner. Big wallop. Will secure the shutdown for Dasher, and Hybrid can dash around no longer.
So,
yes,
that was insane how that all transpired. Quite honestly.
Yep.
I'm just trying to kind of regain myself.
A gold lead, by the way.
Yeah, what is... Oh, God, it's a CGA game. That's well and truly what we're watching.
Are you not entertained?
I'm trying to just compartmentalize everything that's going on here, because so much happened. Like, so many members go so low here, but Hybrid just gets to join this fight before any other member is really able to. And I want to... This whole time when this was happening, I was like, Marble, you need to turn at some point, buddy. You've got to turn. But because he doesn't actually decide to turn, and they try and run away the whole time, it actually allows all of the other members of Hawks to come in and actually execute that play. Nemo was just playing far too far up. I understand what he was doing. He was trying to die for his carry to set up, but he was going to be hopeful on that amount of health. And thankfully, if you're a Hawks fan, it worked out for you. You're also getting dragons, so you've got 2 of those stacked, and this is probably going to be a dragon win sort of game, because as you mentioned, Initialize, CGA now have a gold lead, and I'm pretty sure half of that's going to be on Nemo and Cocoon, who are doing a lot of the damage at the moment for CGA.
Turns out when you get the Zeri kill, she starts to do some work, and it's a very tight game. Where at least Dash might be able to secure a tower down here, but with that second Herald infantry looking to try and maybe break up a mid lane, but Blank is here, but Kaken throws down the Weaver's Wall to prevent too easy an ingress, but that damage between the Boomerang Blade and the Ricochet makes that a little bit riskier. Blank maybe looking for a bit more. The Prowling Projectile lands, going to continue chasing people away, and that means the mid lane might well be somewhat undefended. His verdict winds down. We're left with finally a reset from CGA. Hawks decide not to continue looking any further.
Probably a smart move. You also tried to channel that Poppy ult, and it will be back soon, but yeah, my suspicions were correct. It's like I've watched these teams a lot. It's like I've done some of my homework. It's like this might be our founding league. Well, we didn't found this league, but we've founded the production that's doing this.
We founded the LJL back in 2013. We're pretty sure it was 2013. Was it 2014? One of the two. Anyway, we founded the league.
Are we talking about when it was with Riot or wasn't with Riot?
I know, that's the reason I'm always a little bit confused. Like, there's a bit of a grey area here. When does the LJL consider to have been founded?
Well, because that's where Dracos and Frost did cast some LJL games.
Yes.
But that's because it wasn't officially Riot games.
Unipon was a top laner at the time, yeah.
Yes. Good old. I remember talking with Frost at one point, and she mentioned, "Oh yeah, good old Unipon." It's just one of those things where you just bring it up, and people just in the scene just like, "Oh yeah, we know DFM, we know Ebby, everybody knows this." A player they don't know the name of, but they might one day is Kanatsu, who rather heads up, just kind of going in a 2v1 scenario, just aware of their limits and kind of fending off. And now this push from the side of CGA is not going to actually happen because, hey, guess what? You're kind of blind, and Blank is really fast on it with a Yumi, so they can just kind of get around a secure vision, assist their team. While this is all happening, Dasher is also doing a split push, because that's all this guy does half the time. He's their mid lane carry that does everything else, and this is something.
Can't quite get the shot, but here's a teleport, double teleport, one from either side. Nemo,
everybody
going to be rooted up briefly, but the Renekton is here. Knocked away is the Zeri. The Zeri is gone. Crescent Guard prevents the hop over the wall, though. Ultimates are thrown, but no one dies. Not yet. Anyways, Dasher, though, might look to change that fact. The Ethereal Chains lands, but won't go any further. Dominus down. Alongside something like the Crescent Guard means not as many defensive tools right now for CGA, and that might give a bit more credence to a mid lane shove.
But Cocoon coming out very clutch with that spell, but getting the exhaust, which basically prevents Dasher immediately from even considering doing anything. He didn't even use the ultimate there for the LeBlanc to distort forward or do anything. It's like, no, I'm exhausted. Fine, all right, fine, I'm out. Which basically dissuaded anything from the side of the Hawks, because it's like, well, if Dash is not doing it, there's no point in us going any further. And sadly, Dasher is the one that also had used his teleport in. So now it's going to be on Kanatsu to do the split pushing for the side of the Hawks. And now for CGA, it's going to be Cocoon who's going to have to do that. So the mid and top, respectively, for Hawks and CGA are now going to be in the split push because Nap used his TP as well. So now we're getting all this play around stuff. And it's very interesting because both these teams, especially from a CGA angle, are playing really solidly at the moment.
They are doing pretty well. A lot closer in some ways than we thought it might be. And this is CGA with a lot of those checkpoints on the list active. Hybrid in a dangerous position. Nap, well and truly a threat on this Renekton now with the Blade of the Ruin King complete. And Kaken's Talia still very much a force to be reckoned with, and leave us with a game that could go either way at a moment's notice. Minute until what will be sole point for Hawks might be the break point, though.
Super interesting, though, to see that Blade of the Rune King coming out. I mean, as you mentioned, it's probably going to be the Prowler's Core next item, but, well, actually, no, it's not, because it's going to be
like
the
Sunfire. Frostfire Gauntlet or a Sunfire, likely. I expect the Frostfire Gauntlet would make some more sense in terms of the champion.
Yes, I have to imagine that as well. I'm a little skeptical of how good this Blade of the Rune King is going to be, because obviously the only time it's going to be really, really good is when he's actually attacking Blank, and Nap doesn't want to attack Blank. So I understand why you build it on Renekton. I do. I'm just skeptical if this is maybe the time that you just do the standard solo queue build here. I feel like maybe this is a time where you should maybe augment, because he is going to need to be their front line. Outside of when Nemo does have an opportunity of maybe getting a mythic or something to try and do something on Alistar. And obviously you have the Alistar ultimate, so it's always good. I have to imagine it's going to be a Sunfire. We're going to be doing what a lot of junglers have been doing. You just go Sunfire into just X items because Sunfire is just a good item at the moment. And then just be this kind of vague, annoying champion to secure it. But, God, that's why you need a tank.
Reaver's Wall is going to be thrown down. And, yeah, that's just a response there to prevent even more of an all-in. But Hybrid chunked out. The Immortal Shield Bow not popped. But critically, that's with the Mountain Dragon alive. So I don't know whether... Actually, Hawk's just going to say no. Are they thinking about going for something like a Baron here? This would be very bold. No, they're just giving up the Dragon, decide they can't contest, don't have control, and sole point denied without too much issue there by CGA.
Well, that's just a vision control thing from the side of CGA. They got the deeper vision. They got the one... You can see that ward just behind the brush of the side of the Dragon side for the blue side. And just having that full control, because the Hawks fully invested on the idea of, we'll get mid, we'll get this turret, and then we'll brute force our push. The Talia wall just dissuaded them fully, and it seemed like Hawks hadn't actually planned for a Talia wall to come through and then maybe cause some issues. And something I've noticed is Kakuna's been sitting on this cleanse for a hot minute. Like, they're expecting a big bad team fight to go down, but like it's just never come through. So they've been able to just quietly sit on this, get that dragon as well. And if you're CGA and you're looking at it, you're like, Mountain Soul is really good for our team. That's a good way for us to just say no to what they're doing. Hybrid isn't going to get smacked by that Poppy ult though this time.
Ooh, dash it again in the bounce house, gets jumped on. Won't quite screw, but now the teleport from behind means that will be Nap looking for the slice, the dice, and the death. Can't quite get there in range as Dashi gets out with the on the hunt. Good response from CGA to prevent their AD carry's death. And now the Ultra Shock lasers can start to fly through, but the final chapter turning it around to Kassin, who's got no ultimate left. Gonna go down, surely, not quite, still alive! Teleport coming through, tower has fallen. Now the cow is down. And Kinatu can start hopping forward, looking for a boomerang. An auto's not quite enough to get Kassin, who's alive on one auto, can try an audacious charge over the ramp to stay alive. Now the tower in mid lane falls. What can they get done? What can they survive with? As Kinatu will not be denied. The prowling projectile means Kassin. Audacious charge once more. Blasco. Surely the heal from the core drinker not enough. A desperate attempt, a desperate flight will not keep the jungler alive. And now with the support and the jungler down, Hawks can think about a Baron.
Oh, absolutely. Not only think about it, I mean, genuinely consider it to a point. Looks like they're actually not going to... I mean, I can understand with where they were thinking. Dash was super low. Marble wasn't really nearby. He was hovering in mid and not full health, not got full mana. So maybe they're just like, hey, maybe the actual way that we kill this thing is going to take us way too long. They'll be able to get it back out, so we'll have to reset anyway. But this all starts because so much back and forth from the side of the Hawks, and they actually go, hey, we can get this tower. They couldn't. Nap comes in, tries to find it, and now it's all going to be a numbers game. What I want to praise here is Reiner's Yuumi coming out really early with it. What only that does is that helps secure the wave coming in behind, but it gets an extra turret shot on Kassin. And hey, if one more came through, that would have been a kill for them. They get that one kill, and Kinatsu, beautiful idea. 9 out of 10 times it almost works for you. But again, Reiner staying on Kinatsu, allowing them to move forward while the rest of the team kind of secure them off. The Q landing on the Yuumi blind, by the way. The jump blind to do it. And hey, that's a lot of good coming from those two little Yordles. This is the 3 Yordle comp, or I guess 2 Yordles and a Yordle's cat. So hey, you can't lie about this, but hey, it's beautiful to see.
Definitely.
Vandal City would be proud.
Still a very close game. It's about a good 1,500 gold, but that's about it. And That Zeri has just completed the item that makes everyone else wince a little. Infinity Edge in. That Yuumi will be hitting like an absolute truck at this point, yet to be completed by Marble. Can't be too far off. And, you see both of these 80 carry players with a lot of gold, but it's still about that 1,000 gold additional in Hybrid's inventory that's making that difference right now.
And this is 3 items now. You mentioned it, and if they at all, and I mean, Runan's Hurricane is going to be obviously on the plan to build afterwards, but this is fully all in on just going on to individual damage, just going, if someone runs at us and I am queuing and autoing, we will do the most amount of damage, right? This is max damage, not max overall team damage. This is fully just one person, I will kill them. And specifically, this is kind of to call out Dasher, because the fact is, Hybrid won't have a large opportunity to actually deal a lot of damage to Dasher. So if you can get maybe 1 Q and an auto onto Dasher with a crit or 2, that could get them down to half health. Now, if the rest of your team are also doing what they need to do when Dasher jumps in, there's a chance you can 0 to 100, and the small bits of damage here and there from the side of CJ, that's how you can turn a comp around. That's how you can turn a team fight around. Because while it's going okay for CJ at the moment, and they do scale perfectly fine, against a Yuumi comp, there's always that concern that you just get to 18 minutes and someone doesn't die, and they become an unkillable monster, and something like a Yuumi or something like a Gnar,
something like this.
Yeah.
That's the lightning crash coming down. Kinatu on the wrong side of the wall, but that's a big keeper's verdict to knock 2 away. Hybrid, Nemo, Cassing, caught with the final chapter. Hybrid still trying to auto up, but Kinatu into the backside. Mega Gnar into the wall, brings down the jungler. The cow follows shortly after. Alistair falls down the latter part of his name, and he will be finding himself respawning at home. The carries of CGA remain, but the frontliners are down. Time to move towards the Baron, this time with more health to work with.
And this just shows the utility. They were able to run fast. Blank, Kinatsu, and Rainer all split from their carries, but actually it was a plan all along. What about if we come deep from around town? With Siva, we're able to reposition our carries. It's beautiful. It's like the team comp works together perfectly, and honestly, Hawks are showing why they are a team to worry about. They are showing why they are the team to watch, and why they are definitively the 3rd best team currently in the LJL, fighting for higher spots.
Absolutely they are, and we'll see this replay again, because Kinatsu, a player who's been on the quieter side of the matches, makes a phenomenal play on the Mega Gnar.
Look how early they popped the Sivarol and how much they're just running backwards just to get out of the utility to then actually get back in. They haven't got Sivarol now anymore, but they used it earlier on just so they could actually reposition themselves and then get in and get back out. It's just so cool to see that so many members of the Hawks team are on the same page. Yeah, they didn't get more than just 2 kills there, but they got the Baron afterwards. So Initialize, I don't really know how CJ can come back for the following, well, at least 2 minutes.
Yeah, they've not got a lot of control, but maybe a play like this might be doing it. The Weaver's Wall there, they're going to try and keep everyone low in, but they're going to knock Nap into the wall. He's still pretty damn tanky. The exhaust does a lot of work. The final chapter coming through. He's just going to die. Dasher gets that one. Kinatsu, Mega Gnars, everyone from over the wall. He'll fall down, but it will still be a 1-for-1 right now, but Hybrid is still free firing. Hybrid is untouched. Hybrid gets to go again. Keeps getting stunned into the wall, though. Blank doesn't It's a shutdown for Marble. That attempted Zeri moment is cut. Damn short. Dasher with an ethereal chains into the heroic charge. Secure a double for the mid lane. A moment where you believed in Hybrid. A moment where he nearly carried it, but Marble stays alive. Marble will lead the charge alongside the rest of his team and the Hawks. It was a close fought mid-game, but after that play in the mid lane, after that little play there, will be able to secure themselves a game-breaking advantage.
Yes, while Hybrid has 3 items. Marble also has 3 items, and you do not also want to ever chase after a Poppy. Poppy is one of those few champions you never want to chase after, and the reason this goes so well is because it's also a 4v4. The ulting of the Alistair out immediately into the final chapter. By the way, huge credit to Rainer on these final chapters, being clutch. Kinatsu dying for the sins of their team, but being able to put out so much damage, meaning that now it's a 3v1. And yes, it's great that they do get the kill there onto the Yuumi. But what does it really lead into? Because look at how long this stun was. Look how much damage also just Marble does comparatively. It's like you can't just expect Zeri to be an absolute machine because she's not level 18 yet. She hasn't got 4 items. There was no Runan's Hurricane coming out quite yet. And if anything, it's going to be a bloodthirster for 5th item. And yeah, look at that. Marble was left alone, was allowed to ult, and was able to do what they needed.
And there's been a bit of an ongoing discussion as Civ has become more popular about which one of these two carries scales better. And Hybrid has more mobility on the Zeri, but if you get to standard deliver, Civ will do more damage because Ricochets just hit more people and crit more often. So yeah, you've got a little bit more extended range with the Ultra Shock Laser and the ability to jump over the walls, and that's great. But it's not as simple as it once was that Zeri just wins late game fights as an AD carry, and that time around couldn't quite win the DPS check. It was bloody close, don't get me wrong. We couldn't quite make it work this time around.
No, and the only thing that I do think is going for CJ is, remember, they've got 2 of the dragons at the moment. Now, this is in a spot where one of the dragons you could argue was probably kind of traded for the Baron sort of scenario because of how it all played out. But ultimately, Hawks are now about 6k ahead, we can call it comparatively at this point.
22-stack Magi's.
Which is, I mean, that's where ultimately I was going to end because, yeah, the side of Hawks, Dasher is so far ahead. Marble is like half an item off of also completing a Bloodthirster for himself, most likely. And it's just, you kind of look at these two teams, it's like, I don't really see where CJ comes back. Like, where is the angle for them? Because Blank is having the game of his life. Kanatsu just doesn't care and is learning multi-man things. Reiner is almost always final chaptering, and there's so many good targets for them. And it's like, yeah, okay, Dragon is maybe an option for CJ if they can get Giga tanky just through Soul, but they're probably going to have to sacrifice their lives for the Soul, and that means they're probably going to die as well.
Ethereal Chains come down, won't quite secure the kill, and that's just it. What are you willing to sacrifice to make this happen? You got close in that last fight. It was the right play. You just couldn't quite secure a critical kill onto either Dasher or Marble. One of those carries must die, preferably the Sivir, but so hard to get through the Poppy and the Yuumi and everyone else. But maybe a pick like this might be a good start, but Blank has got a phase rush and gets to walk away. Big damage though onto him means there's maybe a turnaround. On the Huntsman pop, Dasher goes in but does get stunned and knocked back, but he's got to heal with that Zoomies. And in goes Kanatsu, knocked out. The final chapter over the wall means that Cocoon's got nowhere to go. The Ethereal Chains would likely secure the kill. 2 already, and CGA fall apart. Hybrid must do all the work he's ever done. Lightning crash into the back end. Blank goes golden, but nowhere to go. Dasher over the wall, but hops right back.
Hybrid.
Now they're going to continue hopping over the wall. Ultra Shock Laser gets 1. Marble hops forwards though. The exhaust to flash away, trying to hold on. Marble is there. Hybrid trying to stay away from the wall. Dasher hopping. Ethereal Chains go wide. So much damage back has to go away. Ultra Shock Laser. This Zeri is doing absolutely dancing on the knife's edge, but it's versus 4. Must hold on, must survive. Let's try to get the Grump for the healing. He's got a burst fire, needs to get it, won't secure because Marble screws it with a pizza delivery from hell, because that's where Hybrid's going.
What did we just witness? Oh my, Hybrid, dude, if you just send that off at the end of this season to any team, or maybe back to CGA and say, re-sign me. Why? This play.
Yeah,
right. I will always give you my all. I will always give you my all because absolutely, Hybrid, did you give your all there? And ultimately, this started out from a really good spot. They found a pick onto Blank, and this is like, okay, they got them down to half health. I did worry because Hybrid was also down to about half health, and if maybe Kanatsu could just get ult and get onto him, which he almost did there, it could have gone beautifully. However, the main issue here is Cocoon gets taken down really low, really fast. So they've got no jungler, no mid laner. So now it's all on the side of CGA's AD carry more than anything else to really find the angle back in. Obviously, we saw that the whole thing transpire, but at this moment in time, it's just the Hawks getting to take their Baron, to take their Dragon, but they've already taken it, and CGA just have to watch, because without Hybrid, they can't do much.
Yeah, and the LeBlanc Yuumi combo is well and truly online at this point. There was some good attempts to stall it earlier on in the game, but now it's online. 7-1 and 8, and with even more AP coming through from the Yuumi, who's also got a Medjai's, by the way. They've clearly been buying into Nymera's library. Only has the 1 book in there, but I hear it's a real
It's a good library,
turner.
mate.
Yeah. And they're going to do their best to continue playing from it from here. And, that's the point. There's only 1 death on both Dasher and Marble apiece. They've been staying alive oh so well, and Cocoon's early turnaround plays on the Talia It's like just running out a little bit of options, running out a little bit of pick potential for CGA. They need a miracle right now.
I mean, I think it's just because Dasher and Rainer have been listening to Yumi's voice lines. Just don't go somewhere dangerous. I truly believe that's what's going on here. But Kanatsu's about to hit Mega, and you know how this goes normally.
So 4-item Nara at this point, and he's been such a danger. Nice attempt there to get a hold of Hybrid, but he's quick enough with the backstabs. Hybrid's Immortal Shield Bow procced all the same, though, down to a 3rd HP. Has to back towards the fountain, and this might well be the death push here for the Hawks, looking to score a 15th win. And while CGA, with the loss from Axis earlier, have locked playoffs, hoping to make sure they got this win and continue to look for something like a 4th place secure. Still a potential, but it is looking so desperate. A 1% chance, if that. They've got 2 inhibitors down, and the 3rd has a wave about to crash into it on the bot side in about 20 seconds.
Let's see.
Can Hybrid make it happen? Can he make the play? Blank will get the stun, but he's going to try and back away from Nap. Over goes Kasin, gets the Crescent Guard, but the Ethereal Chains come down. Will be blocked out, though, from the damage due to that Crescent Guard, but it'll time out and allow that Ethereal Chain to chunk him out to about 20% HP. LeBlanc empowered by every magical artifact under the sun right now. Perhaps a few from out of it. Blocked out by the key press. Oh my god, never mind that. Kanatsu goes in with the Mega Nara onto 4 members. I'll have to talk about that later on. The presence of this fight goes up a notch or 2. Kanatsu taken low, but not out. It's Marble beginning to run rampant. They get the kill though! Nap gets the shutdown. Dasher must turn it around, but this Renekton will find its prey. And they hold on. Cocoon falls, but so does Marble.
Oh, Marble, you went far too deep. You didn't have a Yumi onto you. Kanatsu had also had to reset. It's just a lot of things there. Honestly, you know the word I want to use initialize? Hyphy.
Just a little bit.
Hawks got a little too hyphy there, got a little bit too excited, a bit too big for their britches, and honestly speaking, a lot of their members were pretty low when they went for this play with Kanatsu, find that Mega Nara ultimate. It was a good idea, but ultimately, there was a lot going on, but Marble just went into kind of no man's land territory where you don't cross that line. The moment they crossed it, well, I mean, it was pretty obvious for Nemo. Land the headbutt pulverize and you should just win the game. And, well, they didn't win the game, but they definitely staved off death.
Mid-auto attack to kill the cow. He gets knocked up and Marble falls down. Critical kill that saves the game for now. How much longer? We're cresting 37 minutes, 50 seconds to what would be sold for the Hawks, but again, there's still a hope and a prayer and a full build Zeri. I was going to call him a Zap, which is somewhere between Zeri and Nap, I think. And also there's, the old short laser. But either way, not the name of either the player or the champion is very, very strong right now.
Yeah, and I mean, at the moment, we're just seeing Hawks currently clearing out vision so they can make sure they can secure this Dragon's Soul. Obviously, they are currently at Soul Point for the side of CJ. This would be a really nice thing if they could stop or just steal. Ultimately, they'd probably sack Kasin for the steal, obviously, and gladly they would, but they've got to escort him in because otherwise members of the Fukuoka Softbank Hawks gaming would gladly delete him in one shot. Dasher is currently looking for something here, and look at Cocoon. He is round back and he's fishing for something, but at the moment, it's all going to be on Nap, in my opinion, to really do that engage, because remember, Blank has been so good with these Poppy ultimates.
And with how fed this LeBlanc is, she can be this poke mage now. Hop over the wall, throw a Q and an E out, hop back out. So difficult to deal with this. Keep his verdict channeled, but not pulled. Reset from Nap. Does have the teleport. Will return. Dasher back over the wall. Nemo to half HP. Dragon down to 3,000. And this might not be the fight. Full soul point. They're teleporting in. They want to end this game. They just need to hold CGA here. Nemo taken so low. There's a reset on the other side of the wall, but I don't know if there'll be enough. Can Cocoon get back? One dead already. Marble gets that one. Nap on the other side goes golden. Trying to buy time. Need an auto to stop that one back, but no. Back goes the Talia. There are no turrets remaining. A double for Marble. They still might win this game anyway, as Kanatsu now pulls away, overcomes Hybrid. He's such a terror on this Zeri, but with no Nexus towers, it is going to be an absolute disaster to try and defend. They've got to hold on, but there's just everything pouring into the base. Hybrid throws down the lightning crash. There's the Immortal Shield, but there's nothing to dash over. Blank gets away with that charge away, and the game still ends regardless. Hawks move to 15 wins, but CGA